I know it's been a very long time since we last did a video, but we're here to do one. Talk about the end of the season, going into next season, and the summer activity for the World Cup and everything. I'm joined by my brother Luca and our buddy Andreas, who has done several other discussion videos. Good to have you.
Hi everybody, thanks for having me again, Christian.
Alright, so we do have a lot to talk about today. It's almost been a month since Serie A ended, and there's been already a lot of activity, especially with transfers, the World Cup activity as well. So we're going to talk a bit about everything, but again, we just want to recap a little bit from the end of the season before we talk about everything else. So starting off with Juventus, won a record-breaking 7th Scudetto in a row, a record-breaking 4th Coppa Italia in a row. Are they just too good for Italy right now?
They're basically a dynasty right now. That's the word.
Yeah, I feel like Napoli slipped up so bad, and I may be a little biased, but I feel like Napoli didn't deserve it as much. So they got kicked out of Champions League, kicked out of Europa League, kicked out of the Cup, the Italian Cup, and then lost Serie A. 4 things lost. Yeah, I can see the same thing about Roma or whatever, but we fought to go. We beat Barca, made it to the semifinals, made history, and we still did pretty good. Finished 3rd place and not too far. But in a point being, they wanted to get out of those cups to focus on Serie A, and end up choking really bad in the end. And I want Roma to be the one to take down Juve to really.
So I know there is a lot of, like, Napoli did slip up, and there were games that they lost that not that they deserved to lose, but in the way that they didn't need to lose in that sense, like against Roma, against Fiorentina. Do you think, like, again, they also,
and then against Milan, they Donnarumma makes the big save. They had so many chances to capitalize and gain points, but they didn't do it when the pressure was on. That's the main thing, and that's why Juventus are 7-time champions, because they have absolute winners on their team, and their squad depth is so much better than everyone in the league that they can rotate their squad so much more. They don't get as many injuries, and when they have an injury, it's not as significant because they have, what's his name? Bernardeschi hurt his knee. Let's just throw in Douglas Costa. For Napoli, who's there to replace Mertens? Milik, who's been out for 6 months. For Insigne, who's there to replace him? Nobody.
And that's the thing too. Juve are actually full of champions. If it's not even from Italy, they're from other leagues. Again, like Douglas Costa, who was on loan, and every time he was on the field, he made an impact.
Yeah, they actually just confirmed the deal as well for $35 million. So whoever runs the Juventus transfers, this guy earns every penny he does. They just got Emre Can on a free as well. They always strengthen. They never sit and wait for other teams to challenge. They're always improving so that you have to put the challenge on them.
Do you think, well, especially, again, 7 consecutive years, Juve have, some of their wins haven't been the prettiest of wins, that's for sure. But how long do you think Juve can keep on this running form, or who will be able to stop them in the end?
I would say at least 1 more year, they'll win it, depending on how the other teams strengthen, because they're still, I feel, like head and shoulders above the rest of the league. And if they add someone like Milinkovic-Savic who they're linked with, then it's a wrap, in my opinion. I'm sorry, guys, but that's just how I feel. They're just so strong already that they just keep improving. So everyone else needs to always make 4 or 5 signings just to try and catch up to where Juve were last season.
Luca?
It's a tough.
And also, Allegri is a main reason for that as well.
Yeah, but Allegri's also
one of the best coaches on this planet.
Juve's main goal is for Champions League. They're not really focused on that's like a side thing now. Champions League that's where he's slipping up. I feel like if they really wanted Champions League, Allegri he's won it with Milan.
He's only won the league. Juve haven't won a Champions League since the 90s. They've lost 7.
That's the one trophy Buffon is haunting him for his whole career. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's going to PSG probably.
They're still in talks, but we'll see. We'll get to that shortly.
Yeah, that's another big loss. Buffon, you have Szczesny, and now they just bought Perin, which was confirmed.
And they lost Lichtsteiner, so this year they could be losing a lot of their
Yeah, I think Khedira's leaving too.
Core of the team that's been there for the whole
7 years.
Yeah, Khedira is probably going to leave. Higuain's probably going to leave.
It's still a lot of activity. Still early. The transfer window's open, but it's not really open because a lot of these still have to get the paperwork in order. But even think about, like, if you think about Juventus too, it's like they're just, after losing Bonucci, you would think their defense was still shaky. But then again, Benatia stepped up. Rugani played half decent when he was actually playing. Chiellini never looked like declining at all. Barzagli is still up in the air.
He's like what's that saying? When with fine wine it gets older.
You get old, yeah. You're like fine wine, yeah.
And then Hoedes, when he came on, he made an impact too.
Even though he was injured.
He's just injury prone. That's his problem. He was always a decent player, but he's like injury prone.
And then Allegri too. He knows how to change things up. He knows like, if I'm playing a 4-3-3, I know I have to switch to a 4-2-3-1 or something like that. He knows who to put on at the right time and when to switch things up. So
he also knows when to play defensive, and he also knows when he needs to attack the team.
Mm-hmm. He knows. He really knows how to change the mentality in a game, and I think that's why Juve have won the 4 with him. Like it's 4 or 5 with him. It's ever since Conte. And again, we spoke about Napoli and their lack of depth, and that really cost them. Do you think now with Ancelotti that they can really improve on their team?
Of course. Ancelotti is one of the best coaches of his generation. His CV, where whatever the trophies he's won, they speak for him itself.
Yeah,
so
that is true.
He's going to, and also name one Italian player that wouldn't go play for him. He is going to have that pulling power. So Napoli fans should be excited. Sarri did a brilliant job.
There's 2 ways to think about it though. So when Giaccherini left Napoli, he knew that and Napoli won. Not an offense to any Napoli or whatever. Like some people don't like this beautiful city, but some people don't like the ghost. It's like it's a lot of pressure, and the fans are even harder than you. They're like a lot of ultras there, and it scares some people. And then on the other side, they think, okay, this is their starting 11. Where do I fit in that? That's how Giaccherini feels. Like I never played. I don't know if it was for Saudi or in sense of it was just like that. He left and he even said, he's like, I never played. They have their team, and that's why I wanted to leave.
And that's the one thing. Like, yeah, if you play, you can tell Napoli was a lot better this year than last year for sure, because all these guys have played together for so many years. They've really built up that chemistry, and they really know how to like play, pass, make those sort of connections. But again, you're only having that 11, and I think also what impacted Napoli is that again when their lack of depth, it hurt, and especially when Gulan got injured. He was their main. If he could stay healthy, if he didn't get injured, he probably would have helped Napoli. Maybe I wouldn't say they would have won the title, but it would have increased their odds because once Mauro Rui came in, it really hurt because he wasn't as good and as like qualified as Gulan was.
And also one more thing about Napoli before we move on, they're also going to get raided again this year. Jorginho's linked with City every day. That's the heartbeat of their midfield.
Yeah, Hamsik's probably going to leave.
Hamsik, their captain, basically the face of Napoli for them. He's going to be leaving. Mertens might be leaving.
Reina's leaving to Milan. Who knows if Koulibaly will stay, if Gulan
will stay. Yeah, Koulibaly's linked with half of Europe.
And then Calcion's linked to leaving too.
It also, like, now that they lost the coach, they're going to lose their core. Now we have to see if they can rebuild and challenge again, or they'll have to take a couple of years in the back.
So I know the one big name I heard they were linked to is Leno, Leverkusen's goalie.
Which is good. At least he's a step up over Reina.
Improvement.
But,
yeah, Reina for Milan's a good signing. Gives you experienced backup that you don't have to rely on. For Napoli, when you're trying to win Champions League and Serie A, you can't have Pepe Reina as your starter. So.
Like, you have a decent backup.
Maybe 10 years ago when he won the Champions League with Liverpool, 10, 12 years ago, but not now.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. At least they're getting a decent goalie. And let's see, again, how we said who would want to go play under Ancelotti. Everyone, because considering he even won La Decima with Real Madrid. So
that's 2 different teams, Real Madrid and Napoli.
I know, but they're saying he helped get them there. That's what I'm saying. Ancelotti's a coach who knows how to win.
Well,
so he went to Germany, won the title, Italy title, England title,
France title.
He won the Chelsea.
Chelsea, yeah.
He's just a serial winner.
He knows he's won in every league.
Winning culture in your team.
So we'll see. So I guess we'll move on to one thing also about Napoli. Sorry. Napoli is the first team in Serie A to hit 90 points and not win. That's incredible.
no one's taking a knock on their season, but it's like they had it in their hands and they let it slip. Like, we know they had a great season, but...
And again, it was those games that they didn't need to lose. Put it that way. They shouldn't have... Not that they shouldn't have lost, but they couldn't... Like, they didn't need to lose those, which really cost them in the end. So... And then, again, they also really... They probably celebrated too much when they beat Juve.
Oh, that was bad.
They celebrated too much,
so
and it just picked up their mentality. Everyone... I can understand being happy, but setting off fireworks like you won the Scudetto...
And when you win a game like that... You would think it would push you on to win the title because you just beat your rival.
Mm-hmm.
But no.
Yeah,
ever since then, they must have took the foot off the gas.
Yeah, they just took it too lightly, and then it cost them the next game.
Who qualified for Europe this year? It's Juventus, Inter, Lazio, Milan, Roma,
and Atalanta. So, Juve, Napoli, Roma, the top three have automatic qualification to Champions League. Inter on the last day beating Lazio.
Oh my god, I was crying. Thank God that happened.
Both teams were fighting for the last Champions League spot. I believe Lazio was ahead by the 3 points, but since Inter won, they won on head-to-head, so they took the 4th place, so they have to go through qualifications, which means Lazio and Milan automatically make it to Europa League, while Atalanta go through qualifying, but Milan awaiting sanction by UEFA to see whether or not they're going to...
Financial fair play is a myth. They only pick and choose who they want to.
Honestly.
It seems like PSG could spend $400 million in one summer and not get sanctioned.
And consider it too, like, if you're playing in Europe, you get money. So that's a way to pay the debts too. Like, it's a way to pay the debts to the players and everything else by playing in Europe where there's actually revenue. So by doing that, you're sort of limiting what Milan can do at the same time. But again, for me, I just hate that Inter is in Champions League before Milan. That's my thing, but it is good for them.
I didn't even want both teams in it. I'm just happy it's not Lazio because fuck them.
Okay, for Lazio, they have Milinkovic-Savic's future in doubt. They have Immobile's future in doubt.
And Felipe
that could
Anderson.
Be another team in trouble. They might just get...
Yeah, Felipe Anderson, I think, is going to West Ham. I'm surprised, like $40 million. So
but then again, English teams overpay for everyone, so he
could be another Salah. He has the type of skill set, but
he's hit or miss. He's very inconsistent. Like he'll
yeah, that's the word right there.
He's
inconsistent.
He had that one season a couple years ago where he was outstanding, but then the couple years after that he was very poor. But then again, Lazio had a player in Luis Alberto who was probably one of the surprises of the season. He was fantastic. He was the first.
Yeah, I'm an English football fan, so when he was at Liverpool, he was not even touching their field. Lazio took a punt on him, and it worked wonders.
Yeah,
they bought him for, again, cheap. I think it was just under $10 million, and then look, he's probably worth double, triple that. Who knows in today's market? But he was the first player too to reach double digits in goals and assists, so you can see how he was very, very useful to the Lazio side. Then he also helped Lazio because they had the most goals scored this year in Serie A, beating Juve by 3 goals, so that was even outstanding. And considering you had also Immobile, who scored 29 of them this year, which is incredible.
And then you have Milinkovic-Savic scoring double digits for the top scoring midfielder.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Let's see what they can do next year and how well they can go in Europa League this year, considering they did make it far. They went to the quarters, I believe it was. But then again, they gave up, or not gave up, but they let it slip against...
happy days.
Who was
They signed Milinkovic-Savic from Genk for $16 million, and now they're going to make over 100 on him.
Well, let's see if they keep him. Who knows?
I think he's either going to stay one more year.
Maybe bring him to Champions League?
Not many teams can afford him right now. Then what's the Lazio's president's name? He's stubborn. He won't sell.
Oh my
God! Actually, put the amount he wants.
The fat man. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, again, let's see again if like Atalanta last year they got automatic qualification to Europa League, but this year they have to do qualifying. So let's see if they qualify. They even put up a good chance last year against Borussia Dortmund. They won their.
That was unlucky. That was their goalie's mistake.
That was they did play. they really did have a good tournament for sure, and I hope that they can qualify and do well again. So, and Inter, we'll see how they do, but they really need to enforce their team before really competing compared to some of these sides who have been in Europe for quite a while since they haven't been since 2011 or so.
The good thing with Inter, they have a pretty nice starting 11. They just added De Vries, one of the best defenders in the Serie A, and now they just got to upgrade their bench and maybe one or two more starters.
Yeah, that's for sure. And let's see, too, and it depends, again, if Icardi's on the go as well, Perisic. Let them get rid of Candreva because he was absolutely poor this season, too. So, again, they're...
Ever since he left Lazio, he was amazing at Lazio, and ever since he left, he's been a shadow of himself.
Yeah, now they're probably one of those Rafinha, Cancelo, and like those two guys really helped them to become what they are today. And who knows if Handanovic is staying. Skriniar just signed a new contract. He's staying. So
and Skriniar, is surprised at this. I know he was good, but he really outshone
He's also arguably signing it this season because of the price tag. He got him for under 20 million, and now he's already at 60, 70 million defender.
He played really, really, really well. So that's good for him.
Now bringing him up with De Vries, and then they can sign De Vries, Skriniar, and Handanovic. That's a solid base of your defense.
Yeah.
Just build your team around. For me, with Inter, I feel like now that if they didn't make Champions League, kiss Icardi bye-bye, kiss most of their stars bye-bye. But now,
it's a chance for them to stay.
They have the control. If they want to, they can get rid of, but they don't need to.
Go on to the relegated teams, as we know. So Benevento, we all knew was sort of relegating after that record-setting 14 consecutive defeats in the opening season.
Golden goal FC.
And they ended up getting their first point against Milan, thanks to a last-minute goal from Brignoli. And take this
That has to be goal of the season, no?
No, it's
we'll put it moment of the season. Put it that way.
That's hilarious, man. I couldn't believe it. I wasn't even watching the game. I get an update. Golden goal. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Look at Benevento's lineup. He's the keeper. I was like, what?
I woke up at 6:30 for that game, and I have no words. I woke up to watch that, and that's...
I was crying when I heard him. Like, oh my...
I couldn't believe it, man.
I think everyone was just stunned. Again, it was a nice story. Put it that way, you know.
That's the surprise of the season for me.
That is just one of it, Benevento later beat Milan at the San Siro. So Milan's actually the only team in Serie A that never won against Benevento this year.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's an interesting little thing there. So, but
Benevento actually picked up their form too.
Oh yeah, with Sancho.
If they actually had that form, they might have had a better chance.
Yeah, if they actually had De Zerbi and all these players like Sandro, Sagna, Diabate, who was scoring braces every week like there were nothing. If they had those players at the beginning, they definitely would have stayed safe this season. So
yeah,
it's important. I don't know if they went in with the wrong mentality or they just didn't spend smart at the beginning.
Yeah, Sagna now signed another year with them too to help them.
And but it also sucks now that De Zerbi isn't going to be the coach as they said, so he's going to probably stay in Serie A, which is good because he's a good tactician. He's building up, and he can show his talent if he stays in top flight. But I would have seen him stay with Benevento to bring them back up again.
He got promoted.
We'll get to that in a second. I just want to say also Verona got relegated. I think we all saw that coming. They just didn't perform well at all. They were just poor. That's all I can say.
Verona's one of those teams that are always going to be mid-table or low, relegation. That's about it. They're always flirting between those two bubbles, and then they did not.
And they don't stay up for long either. They'll maybe stay up for a season or two and then head back down.
They've got to strengthen their team to make it Serie A.
And then if they have I remember what they had Iturbe when he was actually very, very talented and very much in his beginning of the season or beginning of his career. As soon as he left Verona, they just went downhill every year. And it's not saying he was
he went down too.
But he helped them in a way, right? You lose, you get rated. Same with Jorginho. He was at Verona before going to Napoli. They lose. They're one of those again who lose their top players, and they tend to go down. The third team going down is Crotone, who we're very sad because we're half Calabrese, so it's very hard to see them down after the success they had last season and the way the heart and the fight that they showed this season, and they lost out. The one time they lost. I think it was the second last match day. All the other teams fighting for relegation won as well, so that didn't help. It was just really weird. Cagliari won, Udinese won, Bologna won, Spal won. Everyone won except for Crotone, and it put them in a difficult situation last match day of the season against Napoli. So it's either beat Napoli or get relegated, but it's not that was already difficult as it was.
You know what's crazy? We're not talking about Spal right now because they picked up their form.
That's true. They picked up their form right at the end.
Bless you.
Sorry.
Bless you.
They picked up their form right in the end, and that helped them stay up for sure. And then they haven't been up in almost 50 years, so I guess it's good to see them stay up after.
It's always good to have someone with Oriello's experience to help them understand what Serie A is about. He's been there his whole career, so he knows how to guide them and make sure they do what they have to do.
But it's funny. He was frozen out of the team half the time. He was just never playing, which was actually hilarious.
Sometimes it's good to have a guy like that just for his presence and experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
that's because he knows the league inside out.
Yeah, he's a journeyman who's played with almost every team. So yeah, he does know how to win and how to stay up with depending who he's been with. And answering your question, those who were promoted, Empoli won the Serie B title. So they got automatic promotion. Parma won, beating Frosinone in the head-to-head.
It's good to see Parma back after their financial troubles.
Yeah, they got promoted. They got promoted every year, 4 consecutive promotions.
Oh, 4? I thought it was 3.
I believe it was 4. From Serie D to Serie C, Serie C to Serie B, Serie B to Serie A. Is that 3 or 4? 3. 3, 4. Get whatever. They got promoted every year. Good for them to see it back up there. Luca kept his promise, getting them back to Serie A. He retired. They retired his number as well. But actually, this morning, though, I got notifications saying that Parma's being investigated for match fixing because they texted their opponents, "Don't try too hard."
Oh my God! Why would you even do that, anyways?
I just don't know what to say to that. It was very...
That's the problem with this sport. More and more corruption's coming out, and it's just taking the enjoyment out of it. But why the hell do I want to watch something that's pre-made?
Honestly, it's...
Platini just came out and said France and Brazil 1999 was rigged, so they both face each other in the finals.
98.
What the fuck is that? 98. What is that?
I know, it's... And he's what, leader of UEFA right now? It's absurd.
He was, until he got caught for being corrupt, just like all of FIFA and UEFA. They're all just... There's a reason why Russia has the World Cup right now and Qatar has the 2022. And it's not because they should be holding it. It's because people got slipped a nice couple Benjamins.
So that's all the promoted and relegated teams there. Other than Bragnoli, any surprises of the season?
For me, Cengiz.
Yeah.
He didn't really play that much in the beginning, and he was so important for Roma in the Champions League. He helped them push on.
That Turkish guy, man. Now we're looking at bringing even more Turkish youngsters. Monchi's looking.
Monchi's one of the best things to happen to your club because you guys really don't have the financial muscle, but he knows how to spot talent.
No, this guy he buys for cheap, but they're it's a prospect, and now we just bought Koric, who's I heard really amazing, and with Koric and Under coming in, the youngsters with Pellegrini, with Cristante, it's jeez, man, we're building up to Wisik now up front. It's Under surprised me. Yeah, and it took him a couple of games, and the first game started, he scores. Next game, he scores. After that, Champions League, on his debut in Champions League, he scores, and gets us the away goal too.
For me, I'm gonna say I'm gonna just talk about Coutron a little bit. He wasn't after all the money spent, $250 million. Then you spent over $80 million on 2 strikers, but yet
and they got back for academy product.
I was gonna say a player from the youth system is the only player for Milan to score double digits. Scored
how many braces alone did he get this season? He
two or three for sure. He was close to getting his hat trick a couple times, but he really shone. He had 10 goals in Serie A, 18 all season for a 20-year-old. And like I know, it's hard for him to be the starting striker again next year, but at least he's shown his talent this year and he can show Milan what he's capable of. And it's funny too that Mirabelli wanted to loan him out, but Montella blocked the transfer, blocked that transfer. So in its way, it's the only good thing Montella ever did in his time at Milan.
and not my team United out of the Champions League. But that's another story.
And I think I even called it in one of our earlier videos when we wanted to talk about the player watch for each team. Alisson, best goalie in Serie A right now. This guy, literally from being second goalie to being the best goalie, like top 5 goalies right now in the world. He's incredible.
He really showed his talent after like only playing in Europe last year for.
And now he's tweeted to, if he leaves Roma, £80 million.
More.
That's old block money. That's crazy.
Yeah.
He's keeping Ederson, the Man City championship winning keeper, out of Brazil. That just proves his quality.
Yeah. And everyone's saying, no, he's not that good. I watched him against Liverpool. I'm like, okay, one game, but he's like, oh yeah, he let in 5 goals. How many did a Liverpool goalie do? How many mistakes did that goalie do?
And without Alisson, it would have been 8.
I know, it would have been worse. And their goalie even let in more. Like it's like
every fan base has idiots, Luca.
I know.
You just gotta ignore them.
It's so bad.
So we're also going to go on to play.
And it seems to be the Liverpool fan base more than others.
So who do you guys have? Well,
sorry, I have one more surprise.
All
It's
right,
about Milan, but it's not positive. Donnarumma. His decline in form was massive.
Oh, it was bad.
I think with the summer that happened with him not signing, then the stuff in December that happened with Raiola, the rumor of Raiola wanting to annul his contract, that got to him.
Pizza roll?
Sorry?
The pizza roll?
Yeah, that
Don't get me started on him because it's not PG. That's all I gotta say.
But I'm saying that affected a 19-year-old, and it's hard. It's really
yeah. He goes to the Italy championships too. How much they're throwing money at him on Donnarumma?
Yeah.
Like it's hard. He has a mixed. What's the word I'm looking for?
Fan base.
He has a mixed fan base. People love him. Like everyone hated him as soon as he didn't want to renew. Everyone hated him. That's for sure. And then he started picking up his form a little bit. Everyone started loving him. But then there's still the mistakes where there's goals that he would have saved last year that he didn't save this year. And there's a lot
I saw a stat. It was like he cost him Milan 8 goals. 8 goals. Like he let in that should have been saved.
And I know there's rumors of him leaving, especially with Reina coming in and then maybe getting a fresh start somewhere else. But at the same time, if you go somewhere else, say like PSG or to England, there's more pressure on you. It's a different environment. The fans are different. It's a different playing style. So there's much more pressure to adapt to that than rather just try to build up your confidence again while staying in Italy.
But sadly, there's people like Mino Raiola who like to take advantage of kids for their own profitable gain.
And to me,
he did it with Pogba. I'm a Manchester United fan. Pogba's 18-year-old kid. When he left United, he was an 18-year-old nobody. But because he has Raiola as his agent, he's requesting $50K a week for a kid who never played a game. Especially to Ferguson, who was the greatest manager of all time. It just showed Raiola, he's too involved, man. He tries to go involved in club matters. You stick to your job, let Donnarumma play his footy, and let Mirabelli and whoever the Milan coach was at that time deal with him and his player. You don't need you going to the media saying, oh, he feels pressured to sign the contract. Oh, we're going to retract the contract. He was forced. You're just making the problem worse, and it's not even you getting the stick. Everyone already hates you. You're just making this poor kid get hated by his boyhood club.
And for me, I have criticized Donnarumma for sure for his performances, but at the same time, I'm a keeper myself, and I feel like crap when I let a goal in like that for sure. So in a way, I sort of changed my perspective and how I think of the Gigio situation because there's all this pressure. You have so many You have the fans, you have your staff, you have your family, you have your agent, all telling you different things.
And you have the superstar brother fighting for your spot.
Yeah, well, I feel like when Reina comes in, it will help shape Donnarumma to be a better keeper, get more mature.
Yeah, Reina's third keeper, though.
Yeah, but
it'll be iffy depending, because I don't know if he will be second or not. There's rumors that he could even be first, but Reina has said himself that he was not guaranteed the first spot. But again, it's still early in the transfer window, and then Milan said they'll only sell Gigio for the right offer, and they said he's on the market for $70 million. But it's hard after a season like he just had. But I feel, again, he needs to stay and just build up his confidence and build around, not be built around, like have Milan be built around him, but stay and be the core of this young Milan team.
I feel with him, he knows he's good, and he knows that, like, he has so much interest around him. So, and I feel like he loves your club, but he also has pressure from Riola. My problem with Donnarumma, and I really like the kid, I think he's a phenomenal goalkeeper, is that after one good season with a team that gave you everything, without Milan, you wouldn't have even been known. And now all of a sudden you're holding them ransom for a lot of money.
So, yeah.
And that could also be Riola in his ear, too, trying to get a fat commission fee. But I feel like you owe the club more than they owe you.
That's for sure. No player is ever bigger than the club.
No, never.
That's
I don't care if you're Ronaldo. I don't care if you're Messi. If you don't want to play, you might as well sell them, get the money, and build elsewhere.
Well,
there's no point having an unhappy player because he won't play to his full potential. That's my opinion.
That's how it was with Totti when he was getting older. It's hard to play him for so long, but the fans wanted him to play because he's the best player who's ever put on a shirt.
Yeah, but Totti, you guys kept him more just because, like,
he's the icon.
No. He gives you that experience, like I said with Borriello for Spal, which Borriello ain't one of Totti's nutsacks. I'm not even trying to compare, but I'm just saying, like, the presence in the dressing room. Yeah. Like, imagine how much Totti helped Under.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
But even
imagine how much he helped Dzeko. Because Dzeko, from last year, his first year in Serie A, he was shaky to this year, where he was
dominant
with Chelsea for a 50 mil transfer in January. Mm-hmm. Big turnaround for him. So how many players from Serie A are going to the World Cup?
I believe there's over 50. There's quite a few going.
I think they saw between 46 and 50.
There's quite a few going. And I know with the transfer...
I'm going to search this up right now so I can get a list.
But I know there's the one thing where a lot of teams, like I'm just looking at Milan right for an example, because they want to get rid of Kalinic. There's always rumors about Andreas Silva. They want to see how they perform. They want to sell them, but at the same time, you want to wait for the World Cup to happen to see how well they can perform, to see if you can get a decent price tag. And that's probably going to even be the same thing with Milinkovic-Savic. How will he perform with Serbia, right?
Also the same thing with Fekir right now. Mm-hmm. Liverpool thought they had a deal done, but now the Lyon's like, I'd rather still after the World Cup, because if Fekir does good, he gets another 20-30 mil added to his transfer fee.
Yeah, so it's tough to see who, you know, like there are a lot of players who even want to break out in the World Cup and, you know, bring it back to their team to bring success back, right? So...
That's what I'm scared with Alisson. Yeah, so many people are after him now. Imagine after the World Cup. How many teams...
Either way, Luca, if you guys sell him for 80 mil regardless, you could get any keeper you want with that money. So you'll replace him. I understand he's a great keeper, but if you're getting a crazy fee, there's no point holding him. Yeah, I personally feel if he leaves you, he'll go to Real Madrid, not to anyone else, because Real Madrid's linked with the Brazilian coach Tite, and he's the one that starts him over Ederson. Yeah. So I feel like if he goes to Real Madrid, then I think he'll bring Alisson with him.
Well,
Liverpool want Alisson, I've seen from what I've seen, but I don't think they're willing to spend that chunk of their transfer budget on just their keeper, even though it's a major issue for them.
And then considering you also have to make the money back some way or another, right? To make like almost 100 mil, you would have to sell like 2 or 3 players. And considering 2 of your players like Emery Chan and Flanagan are leaving on a free, you're not making any profit off them too, right? So it's tough to see. Like, and then too, you don't know if a player will have a good World Cup or not. Then there are again those breakout, those like not smaller players, but the less known players who all of a sudden will break out during the World Cup and then could even leave for a substantial fee, right? So there are 58 players being represented from Italy. Incredible. Wow. I actually, like, not that I didn't expect it.
It would have been more if you didn't have that bozo Ventura as your coach.
That's true, we would have had more players, but again, we won't even know how they would have done.
Speaking about Italy, they have a bright future.
Yeah.
They have a lot of good upcoming talent.
There's still a lot of work to be done for sure, but with Mancini, there's definitely a road that's paved, and we can see some good coming out of it. He's calling players back. He's trying to just trying to find the right mix of players. But it's hard that the talent's there, but it's not everywhere, if you know what I mean. There's still a few cases where, these players need to step up, or if they've already peaked, or,
Yeah, sometimes Belotti and Immobile, they'll be killing it in Serie A, but when they put the Italy shirt on, they're drawing blanks.
Yeah. And then it's same with Verratti. He's talented, but he doesn't look, it seems like he's already plateaued with Italy. He just doesn't seem that great anymore. Like at PSG, he's like a great, he knows how to pass, he knows how to do this and that. But again, like Italy, he's a whole nother player. It's really weird. And then we do have Belotti going, Balotelli playing, which is good because he's probably Italy's best striker, actually true number 9 out there who can create and score at the same time. Right?
And people need to stop judging him on 2-3 years ago because he went to Nice, put his head down, worked hard, proved everybody wrong.
And he's a completely different player. Let's see if we can come up with our own top Serie A World Cup, like that are actually going to the World Cup. And
goalie Allison for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's number 1 for sure.
Now, back line, who would we put? That's the thing. I would have said Lichtsteiner, but he just moved to Arsenal, so it's tough to say who there is. I'm just looking through.
From what I've seen so far, only Ansaldi's played wing back from the Serie A.
What about his is not there either.
Okay, we can put Miranda center back.
Yeah. Or I was gonna say Koulibaly and oh my God, what's his name? Benatia.
I think Miranda is better than Benatia, in my opinion.
Well, considering also the season that Benatia had, maybe that's why Miranda, to me, didn't have. And it's just funny how he said he's the best defender in Serie A, which is absurd again.
We can't forget Christian Zapata, captain.
Serbia's not going, right?
I swear they were.
Yeah, he's on Serbia. He's going.
Oh, Kolarov.
But then you have and Saldi right, Kolarov on the left. Could be better. That's what I feel.
We could use Quadrado as a right back.
Unless you want to use him as a wing back.
No. 3 defense. 3-5-2. Like that.
So what you have? Miranda,
Skriniar,
and
Koulibaly.
I think that's a pretty solid 3 at the back.
Then Allison. In the middle, Jorginho. No, he's Italy. Never mind. Whoa.
Wow.
Milinkovic Savic.
Khedira?
Khedira's going.
Khedira. Pjanic in Bosnia.
Bosnia.
Nangolan's not going.
I know, I can't believe that. I can't believe
Nangolan's not going.
I don't know.
It's okay, they have Fellaini, a.k.a. Fellaini.
Unless you want to count Joel Obi.
He's actually decent, He's not that bad.
He's not bad, but you could definitely do better. How about Milan Badelli?
Yeah, he's a good Fiorentina.
Alright, so we have Savic.
Oh, Matuidi.
Okay, so 3. So we'll do Savic, Matuidi, Badelli. On the wing, Quadrado.
And Douglas Costa.
Strikers.
Ooh, it's tough to say.
Dybala.
And Higuain, probably.
I don't know, because he falters a lot with Argentina in those big games, so it's...
But if we're talking about best from the league, I don't see another better striker sitting out going to the World Cup right now.
Unless you want to say Kalinic, man. Come on.
Oh, dude. Kalinic is winning Golden Boot.
That's a whole nother level. But then if you're also going by talent, there's Andre Silva. He may have not had the best season, but he's very talented and plays.
Portugal have a very talented team.
And he plays well with Ronaldo too. He scored 12 goals in 21. He scored 12 goals in 21 games for Portugal.
Okay, you know who's the third midfielder instead of Badelli?
Who?
With Matuidi and Savic? Torreira. He plays for Uruguay.
Ooh, I honestly forgot about. I can't.
He's been incredible breakup star this season.
And that's also a tough one to see if Sampdoria can keep a hold of him as well.
Okay, so as we were saying, I was to finish off the starting 11 right there, who are going to the World Cup. Alisson, Skriniar, Miranda, Koulibaly, midfield, Cuadrado, Savic, Matuidi, Torreira, Douglas Costa with the ball and Higuain up front with the 3-5-2.
If you guys agree with us, let us know. If not, if you have someone else that could replace those guys, feel free to tell us. But now we're going to move on to an 11 that's not going to the World Cup, that's got snubbed.
Captain of this team's Icardi, 100%.
No, Nangolan.
Yeah, Icardi was the golden boot of Italy, and this guy didn't make it to Argentina because he's not friends with Messi.
That's true. Well, that's what happens when you shag someone else's wife. So, and
I know.
That's the one.
But if you want to win the World Cup,
I know. But it's again, but it's hard to say because considering you have Dybala, Higuain, Aguero, like.
I know.
Messi.
I already said Messi.
Oh, right.
But you have all this talent, so it's hard to really say. So now we're again those that are snubbed, and it's hard to think of a goalie that's being snubbed. Not thinking Buffon, the usual Italians, because they're not going to the World Cup. Handanovic isn't their team isn't going to the World Cup. So I'm just honestly trying to think of a team that's going who would have snubbed their goalie. I almost thought Reina, but Reina got called up to the Spanish team, and thinking, I don't know.
This one's gonna be tough.
That's honestly, I'm trying to think of every team. Actually, Serbia. Let me go to Serbia, because if we can't think of it, I have the perfect person in mind. Hold on, Milinkovic Savic, his brother, the one that plays for Torino.
Jeez.
That's the best I can think of.
We're clutching at straws here. I say we just skip this altogether. Let's go somewhere.
Well, if you guys have an 11 that's not going to the World Cup, and if you think of a goalie other than Milinkovic Savic,
right now, Icardi and Nangolan, the
Those
two
two.
biggest options. Like, I'm having a brain fart. I can't think.
Yeah, no, I can't either.
It's tough to say because most of these players are either from smaller countries or they actually did get picked from their
Or they're
nations.
Italian and
That's true, and they just didn't make it. Do you guys, before we go on to the transfer talk, do you guys think of anyone who's going to be really looked at during the World Cup to judge on their value?
Alisson, Salah.
Salah's not.
Yeah, Egypt.
I know, but I'm talking about Serie A here, Luca.
Oh, Serie A. Oh, okay.
Milinkovic Savic for sure.
So yeah,
He even admitted he has a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, Alisson, Salah. No, oh my God, I'm saying Salah again. Alisson,
he did play for Roma.
Savic, Koulibaly,
Dybala.
Oh, so quite a few players then.
No, there's a lot of players.
Skriniar, even though Inter want to keep him,
Well,
a lot of teams going to be watching him.
Well, he just signed a new contract. So.
No, I know, but I'm saying his value can go up. Right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but it's hard to say too, considering that I always go by this because I know we just renewed Romagnoli's contract, but to me, they do
that to get a bigger fee.
Yeah, well, or you play well, and the team if the team wants to give you a bigger fee, that's fine. But to me, it's Thiago Silva renewed his contract for 5 years, but then he got sold that same summer. So to me,
that's one of the stupidest deals of all time, though. Honestly, 40 mil for two of the Thiago Silva he brought. I've never seen a stupider deal in my life.
No. There's one that beats it. 25 million for Kalinic.
Oh God.
No, Kalinic was sick last year. I don't know what happened to him this year.
No, he was always terrible. He wasn't that good. He just wasn't.
He was not shit.
But he was just not that good.
He was never shit, man. He's just not as good as
I would have honestly kept Baca or Niang over Kalinic, because
I remember Baca was actually pretty good for you guys.
He was, but he was just a pure poacher, put it that way.
Yeah.
Just stay in the box and
Now you have
expect the service.
Cutrone, so you don't doesn't matter.
Yeah. Transfer season ends right before the season starts, so I believe mid-August, August 17th.
Yeah, that's like English Premier League. I freaking hate it. It's so stupid.
Yeah, they just did it now. New thing this year, so that way teams are fully prepared. But imagine.
But it also puts you at a disadvantage because not all countries close at the same date. So you're going to have players unfocused and you can't replace them. It's stupid.
Or imagine you have, like, know how most teams have European qualifications, like Inter, Atalanta. You get a major injury to someone that's out 6-7 months, like, or during preseason, or just the first game of the season, give or take. How are you supposed to replace them? You know.
That's why I think they wanted to bring up Primavera squads or even free transfers. That's what you gotta do.
Well, a good thing too, like one of the newest things, Andreas, I don't know if you heard about it. Teams are able to have their Primavera sides in Serie C, and they can get relegated. They can get promoted to Serie B, but they're just not allowed in the first division. They have that right now in Spain, so Serie A sides are allowed to send their youth teams, which is great too, to be honest. So it lets them develop.
That's pretty cool, actually. It'll help the development of the young guys.
So it's gonna be interesting though how they integrate that into the league already, right? Because how are they gonna like replace teams? You know what I mean? There's a lot that has to. There's a lot of stuff that go into it. But it's good that these players, maybe that's where they can pick and choose in case where these big injuries happen. But this transfer window is going to make sure that, I guess, teams are ready to start instead of constantly like switching things around. It's something different, and most of us may not like it, but we'll see what happens when it comes to it, right? Roma, being the most active team, they signed Koric, they're signing Cristante.
Marcano from Bordeaux, some center back.
Yeah, center back. Well, so we're probably close to signing Kluivert, to whatever his name is.
Kluivert, who's the son of, like the great Kluivert.
Patrick Kluivert.
So much fun. But then again, Kluivert's
that transfer to Roma, that kid could legit be like another Salah type signing for Roma.
But
he's sick, man.
But the problem is, if we get him, I think one of El Shaarawy or Perotti's gonna leave. And I wouldn't mind more Perotti leaving.
I think I saw El Shaarawy. Like he's linked a lot heavy with leaving your team.
And do you want to guess who Kluivert's agent is, Andreas?
Is it that?
No.
It's Raiola.
Oh, I should have known because he's been linked with us. I think Raiola
Honestly, he grabs like every young player and just tries to sell them to get the biggest.
You know what he is? He's a legal human trafficker. He is. He plucks all the good young kids out of the league that ships them off to the big boys for commission. He's like a pimp. That's what Raiola is. He's a football version of a pimp.
That's a good way of putting it.
But the thing is, if we're also getting Kluivert, we're also looking at Ziyech from Ajax as well. That would be a huge signing too. He's dope. But then if we get him, one of Nangolan or Strootman's leaving.
Probably more.
There's one common denominator in this, and it's Monkey. He is the genius for bargain transfers. If you look at Sevilla's 3-year back-to-back Europa League wins, he signed some bargains. Like Nzonzi signed for $9 million. He signed who else did he sign for Sevilla?
Oh my God, Negredo.
Krakowiak. He was at PSG, but he was the captain of their team, killing it.
Yeah, he was on that son Aguero. Aguero played for Sevilla too.
No, he played for Atletico.
Oh no, Negredo. He signed Negredo. He signed. Oh my God, he signed so many players.
Was it
Banega too?
Yeah, Banega. But what I like about Monchi, he's doing it all before the World Cup. So then, as much as you can done, and then look at it after. So,
yeah, because Croatia and stuff's going to the World Cup. If Croatia and these guys perform, then you're playing double.
Yeah, Croatia's a huge signing, man. $7 million.
Not right away. Like I don't think he's going to be an impact right away, but he's such a big.
He could be like another Under, you know?
The Kovacic project, like that.
Yeah. He could be like Under, who may not play right away at the beginning or get it halfway through. But the same thing, you want players starting at the beginning, because that way they can have a bigger impact at the beginning, you know what I mean?
But the thing is, too, Di Francesco is really good at using youngsters. He's built a foundation on youngsters, and even if we get Berardi or don't get Berardi, he's made him good. Without Di Francesco, he's in garbage. Under started off shaky, built his way to it. Schick starting to get there too. Pellegrini.
But he was also like, Schick had an injury-plagued season, but in a way he didn't perform as well. He should have stayed one more year at Sam, in my opinion. Develop a little bit before making that big team switch. But what are you gonna do when a big team calls? Like
he also never got that much game time this year until later on.
Yeah, and he's performed good. Like even if he.
But for me, no matter what Roma are doing now, if they don't keep a hold of Manolas and Alisson, then all of it's gonna be for nothing.
Well, I heard we're getting rid of Juan Jesus to.
And Bruno Perez.
Yeah, Bruno Perez.
You guys really have to work on your backline because that's your shakiest thing.
Karsdorp is coming back from injury, but to rely on someone who's had two ACL injuries is not the best.
Talk about Juve signing one of the best goalies in Serie A for $12 million. How did they pull this robbery off?
I honestly don't get it. And considering that they're looking at selling one of their prospects in Serie B for more than Perin.
Yeah.
Who is it, Leali?
Chetty.
Oh, the striker, right?
Yeah. Like, to me, in a way, it's a good move, but it's also a bad move at the same time. Because, yeah, Perin makes his big switch to a bigger team.
But now he has to fight with Chesney.
Which isn't good for him, because he needs to go to a team like, say, Fiorentina or Atalanta. Maybe, say, if Alisson or Gigio left, he could have gone to Roma or Milan. Or he could have even gone to Napoli since Reina's not there.
My big one for him would have been Inter. Sell Handanovic for about 45 mil, bring in Perin for that money.
But I'm saying he needs to go to a team where he's guaranteed number one for that playing time. Because for me, I think he should be the starting goalie over Gigio, just for Gigio to get some more development under his wing. And just to get, that way he can build off, because he's the one who was supposed to be the heir to Buffon for the national team before Gigio broke out, right? And he does deserve it after coming back from those 2 ACL injuries. He blew out both his knees. And he's one of the best keepers we have in Italy.
I feel he's better than Chesney. So I think he'll win the spot, too. I actually think he's a really good goalkeeper. His reflexes are amazing.
And with Szczesny, too, though, he did perform well at both Roma and Juve. And he does already have the seniority at Juve. But that's the thing, though. If you constantly fight over a starting goalie, if you constantly alternate, it's not the same, you don't build that sort of, in a way.
Sure, for the defenders and stuff.
I guess so. It's a different chemistry between them, right? It's hard to they're always inconsistent in a way.
That's why I felt bad for Skorupski at Roma. He was good, but he played legit 2 games. And then Alisson put the
he was never good enough, dude.
No,
he'll never be.
But the thing is, he's good. He did amazing at Empoli.
He did really well
at Empoli. He needs to play. He's good. He's young. He's strong. He knows what he's doing. But compared to Alisson, you couldn't.
He needs a mid-table team, like Fiorentina, at the one of those teams where you're getting playing time and at least have a decent team in front of you. But at least in a way, Genoa sort of replaced Perin with Marchetti, and at least Marchetti will play after being frozen out at Lazio. But I feel bad for Marchetti because he's in his 30s and was one of the better goalkeepers Italy have had. And then Juve, again, doing their option to buy for Douglas Costa for only 40 mil. Great steal for them considering the season he had. Lichtsteiner left. They're getting Emre Can. I believe there's someone else now that they're signing. I can't even remember. But again, it's rumors if Alexandro will stay or not. There's a lot of rumors involving. We'll see how many people they're able to keep. With Milan, they're trying to just get players on free. Like Strinic and Reina have even stated themselves that they're joining Milan, but the club isn't going to make any official statements till after the World Cup. So they're at least taking care of free transfers in the moment before they await UEFA's decision come June 19th, I believe.
So cheap.
But what are you going to do? I don't know. It's a bit of a mess. I don't know too much about it.
If they ban you from Europe, they prove that they're biased towards certain teams. Mm-hmm. I don't feel they have the authority to do that.
And considering
PSG more authority to spend.
And considering
he should be the first club they look at in terms of spending, first of all.
They're going to do that to a 7-time champ, considering to PSG, who will spend over 200 million on one player, considering we spent 250 on 11. And PSG, who have not won anything in Europe, and you're doing that to 7-time champions, who at least will bring in some type of revenue. you know?
But the thing is, not really, because everyone thinks PSG has more of a chance in Milan.
But it's also the money, too, that's been put into PSG. That's why more people will probably go for PSG. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going from previous winners to no winners. Like, how does that work out? Spending 200 mil on one player to 250 on 11.
But those 11 have done nothing.
But it doesn't matter if they haven't done nothing. It's just the money spent on those players compared to one. You're not looking at... You're only
and they also loaned Mbappe. That's another 200 mil this year.
Yeah, exactly. 400 mil in 2 years, compared to a team that only spent in one transfer. And you're looking at the one team that spent.
And then they're busy looking at Milan, Inter, and all these teams. Like, relax, man.
You have other teams to look at, like PSG, maybe Barca or Madrid. You know, there's other teams that spend so much, but again, they do make it back. But at the same time, it's like, you're not doing anything about spending on all these players. Like, to me, I don't get it. And it wouldn't be a smart move if they do that to Milan, in my opinion. So, again, we already touched on Milinkovic-Savic as well, where he could end up next year. It's very debatable. Again, it depends also on his World Cup.
There's 3 options in my eyes. Man United, Juventus, or Lazio. And I think Lazio is the most likely because I don't see Juve ever stumping up that cash on one player. Even though they did it on Higuain, this is probably like another 20-30 mil above what they paid for Higuain. And United, we have the money, but we need to strengthen our squad.
Yeah.
So we can't just blow our whole budget on one midfielder, where we already have a similar one in Pogba.
And I'm not too sure, too, if Lotito actually wants to sell a very important player to a rival, right? Who really knows, again, considering the talent and how young he is.
I think you'd rather sell to United, if anyone, obviously.
Yeah, of course. You know, you don't have to actually play against it.
Which is good news. But I just don't see it happening because Pogba's staying. We just signed Fred.
Mm-hmm. You guys signed that, yeah. It's
Lazio won £80 million, which is about 120 million euros. It's a lot of money. Even though it's my wet dream to have him and Pogba in the same midfield. That would, honest to God, that'd be incredible. But
we'll see.
I'll keep dreaming until it happens.
We also did touch on certain players whose future is in doubt with Napoli, as we said, Calcio, Koulibaly, Jorginho, like too many players. There's even Torreira.
Even Zielinski too.
Mm-hmm. And
He's another breakout star.
And it depends too how they perform, how Poland will do at the World Cup. Depends how all these players do at the World Cup.
Honestly,
I can't say Jorginho.
What's it called? Napoli deserved to lose once Sadi said Zielinski's better than KDB.
But that's
when he said Zielinski's a better player than De Bruyne, Napoli deserved to lose. Seriously. Let's be real here, bro.
We'll go on to next season as now. We even touch upon if Juve can continue their dominance. Like, it's tough to say.
I'm going to say yes until someone proves otherwise, because no one's proved it in 7 years, so why not?
But there have been times that they were close.
Yeah,
the 4-point last year, this year with Napoli. The first year Juve started their dominance when they came 4 points up on Milan. You know, there's always been...
I feel it's hard to tell right now, though. We have to wait till after the season because a lot of teams, it's still early in the transfer window.
Exactly.
Milan still has to buy players. Juve is going to buy more players. Inter's definitely going to strengthen.
It's tough to say now, but we'll see come. But maybe 1-2 years max, Juve can continue. They'll probably say lose 1 year and maybe win the next year after that. It's hard to say. Right? Because it depends on how strong the other team is.
Going into the season, everyone right now, I would go Juve again, just because they're the strongest team. But after the summer, it could change depending on transfers, right?
Exactly. And again, we said
in terms of the newly promoted teams,
we did touch on that. Empoli.
I want Parma to do well.
Well, we'll see too. How
they have won 3 in a row. Maybe they win Serie A. Make it 4 in a row.
Yeah.
You know what I could see?
What?
Jovinko spends 1 more year in Toronto and then goes to Parma and finishes his career.
There's even rumors of, I know Buffon's most likely to go to PSG, but there's even rumors of him going back to Parma. Because that's where
that'd be like a nice romantic story, eh?
Why not? You know, go with the team that actually gave you something, the team that started you off.
It depends. Does he want 1 more crack at the Champions League? Because that would haunt me too. If I've won everything but the Champions League, that would disturb me.
Yeah, that's the thing though. But he's also at an age where he may not. He still plays some games. He still plays like an 18-year-old. But again, you have to think about it, he's 40, so it's hard to keep up the type of athleticism.
Sometimes, man, people like him, doesn't matter what the age is. When you're still producing the goods, you gotta play them.
Oh no, that's for sure. That I can understand.
Once again this season, even in the Champions League, he did well.
And it's tough. And then again, we have Parma. We have Parma and Empoli. We'll see how they do. And we also do have the Serie B playoffs going on right now. There's the winner still has to be determined. First round, we did have two games. I believe it was Venezia versus Palermo and Cittadella versus Frosinone. Both games finished 1-1. Second leg to come out soon. We'll see who. The next game is June 10th, so that is tomorrow. And then after that, we'll have the final game to see who gets promoted to Serie A. So I would like to see Venezia because, you got Pippo Inzaghi coming up. But then again, there is also Palermo, who, were in Serie A for the longest time. But then again, we may have, I don't think Zamperini's with them anymore. So having someone who'll fire your coach every week is not good for the team either. So what could we expect? What else can we expect?
I think what we can expect next season is a lot of youngsters, a lot of new faces, a lot of brand new changes to Serie A with new coaches, new players, just a fresh new face for each team. Because this year, Serie A has exploded. Big names. Even from
this has been the best Serie A season in recent memory.
Yeah, so those players,
not just for the league, also but the European spots. That was even sometimes more interesting than the league race.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that, the game of this season, 100% for me. I may be biased. Roma, Barcelona.
No, Lazio, Inter, dude. No. Final day. If we're talking about Serie A.
Okay, fair point. Serie A.
That's probably one of the biggest achievements of all time. No one's ever came back from that deficit.
Yeah. But when he has to gloat about Roma,
No, I'm saying there's two different teams. It's Lazio, then there's Barca. Where you're losing.
No, but I know. But when we're talking about again the league in general.
No, like I said,
I know what you mean, but
I expect Milan to be way better next year because they've already improved under Gattuso. Then he's gonna get a full preseason.
Yeah.
And to make signings that he wants.
And considering he'll be there for a full season, and ever since he came in charge from the Ritorno leg, like the second half of the season, Milan was third in points. Third in points behind Juve.
It was a complete turnaround.
So imagine if he was there for the full season, we probably would have been in Champions League. We probably would have been there.
That's a debate call to me because you never know between those games if you could have lost, if you could have tied.
But again, you look at the way Gattuso is playing, because Gattuso at the beginning, you can tell that the team was a little exhausted after it, but because he needed to make up the points, and that he just had to use the best 11. So that's the one thing. If he had more time, he would have been able to alternate, change things up, but not experiment as much as Montella. With a full season now, he knows his team, he knows what he needs, he knows who he has to play. So at least it's easier for him to put a team out there that knows how to win.
It's a brand new season next year. If these players stay, if these players go, new coaches come, new coaches leave. It's going to be an interesting mercatos with the World Cup.
And it's, again, too, to see who will shine, right? Because it depends, again, if teams keep their players, if players who were flops last year become sensations, like Schick, Andreas Silva, those. Well, he wasn't a flop, but I know what you mean.
Schick, I wouldn't consider a flop. He was injured the majority of the season. When he came in, he did something. He scored a couple goals, more than Silva.
No, he still scored a couple goals.
Yeah.
He scored
But he performed better than Silva. I give him that. He performed way better than Silva.
You sure? I don't know.
I feel like that's a stupid comparison because they both barely played.
No, 100%. No, I understand that.
And they're both like second fiddle strikers compared to like their main men.
Well, Andre Silva actually should be a starter, but it's hard when you have someone that's so informed like Cutrone and then get benched behind Kalinic, which to me is...
I don't know what Gattuso, man. Does Kalinic have nudes on this guy or what?
Gattuso.
So this
we must be blackmailing him.
This is a big question, though. We'll start off with you first, Luca. Should Serie A go down to 18 teams like they did not too many years ago?
Well, it's always cool to see those younger, the those lower end teams fight because you see the passion. They're not fighting for titles; they're fighting for the city, for the colors, and they're pushing to see. Oh, we're here. We want to show what we can do. We're the underdogs. So, I think it depends what teams you're bringing up. Because if those teams are just for the money, then it's like not really.
No, I think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
It shocks the lower league fans.
Yeah.
Like imagine they're like their first thing they look at when they get promoted. When are we going to the San Siro? When are we going to the Juventus Stadium? When are we going to the Olimpico? Like they just like this is like a dream for these guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're.
And there's also look. Speaking of Verona, imagine they reduce the league to 18 teams. Would we be seeing Jorginho and stuff right now? Who knows?
Mm.
It also gives those players a platform to prove their talents.
Yeah.
For me, it's just in a way where there's not. It makes it a little more competitive, in my opinion. I know, like, yeah, you're canceling out 2 more spots for more teams to come up in that sense. But to me, it makes it more because there's not that huge gap considerably. But it does make things a little, because since it's a smaller league, it makes it a little more competitive. That's just my opinion. But again, you do lose you lose 4 more games. You lose money. You know, you lose all these sort of things, right? But to me, I just feel it wouldn't make it more competitive. They did have it not too many years ago, like I said, but it's always rumors for it to go back down or not. Mm-hmm. Right? That's my thoughts.
And the last thing we wanted to talk about with you guys is a brand new thing that just came out recently. It's saying that instead of Calcio A, it's going to be Serie A in FIFA 19 with Champions League products included. It will be miraculous to have.
So yes, Serie A, Serie B, and Coppa Italia rights head to FIFA 19, and it's going to be a much better game now. Instead of hearing people say Calcio A and Calcio B, I'm actually really tired of that, and that's not how you know kids just know the league from FIFA, which is, So guys, if you enjoyed our talk, let us know. If we missed anything or you want to discuss anything, comment below. Let us know. Thank you again, Andreas, for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me again, guys.
So don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Calcio_Bros, and subscribe on YouTube for more Calcio content. Hear from you guys soon. Ciao.